Good morning, friends. It's Sandra Clay. I'm the pastor at Cook United Methodist Church. Welcome to our patio. It is yet another glorious day, and I pray that it is for you, regardless of the weather, regardless of all that may be ahead of you today. May you know the blessings of God in full. That's kind of where we're going today. We're still a few days in our conversation. We're going to be a few days behind in our reading because there is so much to cover, especially here in the Gospels. So keep on reading, and I'll give you some indication every time we're together, kind of where we're going back to. So let me just tell you now, we're going to be looking at the Beatitudes, but our anchoring version of that will be from the Gospel of Luke. And so that is the 7th chapter. Let me make sure. No, it's the 6th chapter of Luke. It's also, the Beatitudes are found in the 5th chapter of Matthew. Those are the only two Gospels that include these statements of blessing, and they are troubling, at least for me. And so we're going to go there today, but we're going to start with Luke. So if you want to find your spot there, go ahead and turn there while I remind you of a couple of things. Some of you may have seen Stacy's statement. Been a couple of times now. They're dealing with COVID in their household, and it is not a pleasant thing. So continue to remember Stacy and her family at this time. Herman and Jean, we love you, and we're thinking of you. I ask you to pray for our friend Ken as well, as he's recovering from all of the oopsies from a tumble that he took. And there are so many of us that are wrestling with something, that it is a joy. That's what we learn from Jesus now. It is a joy for us to walk with one another. And so I trust that we're doing that to the best of our ability. Oh, we have all kinds of great things going on here, so just check out the website or look at your bulletin. We have Oktoberfest in Lebanon this weekend, and there is an opportunity for you to support in a very profound way the Compassionate Hands Ministry. Salt Ministry is also doing a mobile food pantry that day. They're always in the hunt for sturdy boxes to deliver food in. And for those of you who are not aware of that ministry, it's a feeding ministry for underserved seniors in our area. If you're a Middle Tennessean and you want to get involved in that, you can Google Salt Ministry or go to our Facebook page. No, it's not on our Facebook page. Sorry about that. Go to our website and you'll be able to find some connective information there to get you started. And we've got a habitat build coming up the last Saturday of the month. So if you haven't gotten registered, you need to do that now. Lastly, there is a training coming up for any volunteers who would like to be a part of our readiness initiative. We are convinced as spiritual leaders and as God followers in this community that we have great impact, and we need to mobilize so that every child in this community is ready for their next steps. Sometimes that's an academic issue, sometimes that's an emotional issue, sometimes that's simply knowing and becoming convinced that you are not alone. So if you want to be a part of that, you've got to be trained, and we've got to get your background check done. You can find out that information by going to everyone'swilson.org, or you can check in with us here at the church office and we'll get you all squared away. So there you are. We got tons of stuff going on. It's a great day, not just 24 hours. It is a great season in our life. So good morning to you who I missed popping on here while I was running my mouth. It is so good to be together. So let's talk about some things here. Now you know how I do things backwards. I'm looking in chapter 7 of Luke right now because I want to talk about two instances that are presented in Luke's gospel, and then go backwards into 6 and talk about blessing, because these two are connected. These stories about miracles that Jesus did, and also the troublesomeness of blessing. What do we do with it? How do we define it? What are we seeking? What do we wish for? And so, sorry about that. And here are these two issues. There is the healing of a centurion's son that Luke tells us about, and then there's also a healing of a widow's only son who has died. So the resurrection of this one that Jesus was a part of. And this is, they're just remarkable stories. So the healing of the Centurion Son, it's found in all the Gospels except Mark. This is one of those that John tells in a very detailed way, and in very much the same time frame of Jesus's ministry as the others. It's just interesting that Mark didn't include it. Don't know if he didn't remember, didn't think it descriptive of Jesus's ministry, didn't think it was crucial, in that it was an experience not covered by telling about another miracle. We're just not clear about why it wasn't included there. It's just interesting that the story's not told by Mark. But this is how it goes. A centurion would have been a Roman employee, one employed by the Roman government, a centurion who is a peacekeeper of sorts in Jerusalem or in a surrounding area. This actually happens in Capernaum, but in the nation of Israel, you've got these Roman employees there who there to keep peace, to make peace, but he is respected by everyone because he loves the nation. He loves Israel. He loves the Jewish nation. I think it's probably fair enough to say that he simply loves. He does his job in a respectful manner. Not like they have encountered with other people, and he is concerned about his servant. We don't know anything about the servant. Is that a Jewish person? Is it another Roman person? We have no idea the nature or the background of that servant. All we know is that this is about the centurion. Matter of fact, he sends people to Jesus to ask if he would heal his servant. Those people go just to plead his case, not to ask Jesus to come, to be present and do this face to face. But their plea to Jesus is this man, the centurion, deserves for you to do this for him. He's asking you to heal his servant, and he deserves for you to do this. Y'all, that word is problem number one. What do we mean by deserve there? That's a recompense. What I have done has earned me something. What they're trying to say is that his love for this nation, he's helped build the synagogue, he loves this nation, he has cared for us, he's respected us here in Capernaum. But isn't that why we are disappointed all the time when Jesus doesn't answer our prayers the way we want him to? Is that we think we deserve them, or the person for whom we are praying deserves that? It becomes problematic because it has nothing to do with faith. And so please, let's not hear the rationale the centurion's friends offer as the reason why Jesus heals the servant. Not to spoil that for you if you haven't read so far. But he does. He heals the servant. He begins to travel toward the centurion's home. And the centurion sends word again by other friends saying that this is not necessary. I don't deserve to have you under my roof. He's in essence saying, I'm not worthy. I know your power. I recognize your authority. And so all you have to do is say the word. And he gives his explanation for, he's not dismissing Jesus. He's just saying, out of respect, don't waste your time on me. The coming here would be about me, because I believe you're powerful enough that if you choose, all you have to do is say the words and my servant would be healed. Do you see now how Jesus hears his words and is absolutely fluxumed by the faith and the generosity of this man? He's taken with this centurion just like everyone else has been. Matter of fact, to the point that he says, not in all of Israel have I recognized, have I noticed this kind of faith. Woo! Not a Jew, not an Israelite, not a Hebrew, whatever word you want to. He is not ancestrally or religiously connected to these people to whom he shows great respect, yet he exercises faith like none of them have in Jesus's eyes. And the servant is healed. Let's be very clear that Jesus's response again is not about who deserves what. It's not because the centurion has earned it. It's because he recognizes the power and the authority of Jesus. He likens it to his own life experience. I understand what it means to be under authority. I am responsible for all of these soldiers who are under me. I understand that because of their position, I can say come or go, and they come or go. And so he's recognizing the power and authority of Jesus for illness, over death, over anything else that Jesus sends away. And he trusts him to do just that, and he does. The second story that Luke 7 tells us about is the widow of Nain. Also very troublesome, and let me just tell you why. This widow has one son, and he has died. This woman is alone. Remember, in that culture, you were connected to or had access to the resources of life through the men in your life. Husband, father, before that. Or if your husband dies, you go back to your father. And if your father is gone, then your sons are responsible for you. This widow evidently is lost now, disconnected from hope in life. And Jesus happens to see the burial parade walking by. And he is moved with compassion. His heart, matter of fact, scripture says he saw her, his heart went out to her. There are enough times that all four gospels have talked about Jesus being able to perceive without hearing the words or knowing by report what the situation is. And he knows this woman knows her heart because he just knows. His heart went out to her, and he says to her, "Don't cry." Oh, how tender. Don't cry. Don't cry. He touches the coffin. Now that would have been a little different than our coffin. Ours are enclosures. This would have been kind of a cloth covering, readying the body because they buried in caves, kind of wrapped with all kinds of embalming type spices and oils, and with cloth. And so the burial process had not happened yet. And so Jesus walks over and touches the coffin. The pallbearers stand still, and the young man sits up and opens his eyes and speaks. God has come. This is the report of the people. God has come to help his people. They recognize the power of God in Jesus, but they still believe him to be a prophet. But this is where the problem comes. This woman didn't ask Jesus for anything. The pallbearers didn't ask Jesus for anything. Jesus was moved with compassion and showed mercy to this one who, because her son's life had passed from this earthly tent, she was disconnected in that culture. But that is not the response that he offers everyone. So what do we do when does it feel like God has not shown you compassion, when he doesn't answer your prayer the way you ask for it? And what if you just assume God should do that for you? To offer healing in some regard, to offer relief in some regard. You see, this business of blessing is hard for us, and even the gospel writers are not clear about blessing or favor. And by that I mean this: if you'll compare Matthew 5 and Luke 6, the Beatitudes that are listed there, let's talk about the particulars first, and then we're going to go back and define this word, what it means to be blessed. In Matthew's gospel, the words sound like this: blessed are the poor in spirit. Luke, blessed are the poor. As a matter of fact, think about life experiences in relationship with other people and just in navigating this world. Luke says, blessed are the poor. Blessed are those who are hungry now. He's implying the physical impact of earthly circumstance in this mean old place. Blessed are those who are poor. Blessed are those who hunger now. Blessed are those who weep now, who know grief like this widow. Blessed are you, every one of you, when people hate you, when they exclude you, when they insult you, when they reject your name. Name is about identity and essence, not just relationship. When they reject you in any way because of Jesus. Now, what he tells us we ought to be doing is even harder still, but we'll come to that in a minute. Those are so different. The blessedness that Luke names is very different from what Matthew names. Blessed are the poor in spirit. What in the world does that mean? Blessed are those who mourn. That's the same in both Gospels. Blessed are the meek. What he means is those who feel a little bit subdued, who are a little bit subdued, bowed. You know, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness' sake. Matthew's Gospel takes on kind of the appearance that every good Jew should be putting on like clothing if they were seeking God. But in Luke's gospel, this doctor gets to the very point. Blessed are you who are poor, period. Those who are in want, who know that they don't have all that they need, whose resources are limited. However you want to understand the Greek language there. The thing that Luke does that Matthew doesn't is he adds an entire list of woes. But woe to you who eat your fill. Woe to you who have your riches. Woe to you who laugh and celebrate now. Woe to you, because you've already received your blessing. Now, I want to go back and say, before I tell you what blessing literally means, when Luke tells us that Jesus said, "Blessed are you when people hate you, reject you, revile you, exclude you, insult you," all that stuff, rejoice in that day and leap for joy. Really? Because great is your reward in heaven. For that's how those people who treat you that way, that's how their ancestors, the ones who raised them, that's how they treated those whom God sent to them. You talking about being packed full. God is saying, in essence, I get you. I see you. I am with you. And I bless you. I favor you. The problem there, my friends, is that our reward, when we will truly receive the reward, is going to be delayed just a bit. But we do receive a measure of that if we can choose in that moment to remember how God sees us, that God sees us, and that God is present with us. So when we choose joy at somebody else's rejection of us because of Christ, then we receive a tiny bit, kind of the guarantee of the greater reward that is to come. So let's do the hard work of naming blessing. You ready? The word for blessed there is makarios. It comes from the Greek verb makar, or the Greek word rather, makar, which means happy. Happy is different than joy. Happy is an inside job. You got to decide that it's about satisfaction. It's about acceptance. Happy is fleeting, but you're in charge of that. And joy is something even deeper than that. And joy is a fruit of the Spirit. And so joy comes in not only choosing to be satisfied, even in our disappointment, and yielding to the working of the Spirit within us. So we're supposed to leap for joy. Leap and in anticipation of joy, because we've been treated so. Y'all, that's hard. That's hard. I wore a Christian Concert t-shirt to pick up my paycheck and pick up something else that I had left at work long ago. Second job I ever had. Not gonna tell you where. But it showed up in a helping environment. And because the back of my shirt, these guys that were talking to me I was friendly with, but they wouldn't have known who Mylon Lefevre and Broken Heart were if they were standing right in front of them. On the very back of that concert t-shirt, it said, "Love God, hate sin." And they poked fun at me, not even whispering behind my back, but made reference to stuff like to that theological statement as gobbledygook. And I have never been so disappointed. I felt rejected for just the blink of an eye, but I was disappointed more in these whom I trusted in our work environment. We did counseling, emotional and spiritual development work with folks. and because of their own life experiences, that's all they could offer me. I tell you, it was a huge lesson, and I did not feel blessed that day until I got back in my car to go home. And when the radio popped on, it happened to be on a Christian station. So one of the songs that I happened to love best at the time came on, and a reminder that that's the kind of song, not only that my heart sings, but that I have had sung over me, not just by people who love me, but by spiritual beings, by God himself singing over me because of his love for me. And I felt favored. Do you remember when Mary heard from Gabriel? Greetings, favored one. Greetings, blessed one. She was troubled at that. What could that mean? Well, y'all, sometimes the blessing is below the surface level. And this is what I want you to hang on to. I'm going to repeat it several times. Makarios, that blessedness, is a fortunate and an enviable position. That's how we receive our own favoredness. You didn't earn it. It's not about how cute you are. It's not about how well attended church services are by you. It's not about how many months or years or decades you've been doing Bible study. It's none of that stuff. You are blessed. You are in a fortunate and an enviable position when in the receiving of God's favor, you feel that widening, that lengthening, that enlarging of God's grace, just because God chooses you. And in what happens in that receiving of grace is that we're then invited to obey the faith that God is birthing within us. That means faith and blessing are intimately related and also intricately related. Blessed are you. It does not mean junk won't happen. It doesn't mean that because of God's favor, life is going to be a-okay. We find in our favoredness, our blessedness, some tricky steps to have to take. And when we are sure of our blessedness, then grace grows even deeper and wider. I want you to spend some time. I'm going to spend some time today thinking about this. The ways that God has blessed me beyond a wonderful husband, beyond the best sister ever, beyond being able to enjoy, love the work that I get to do, beyond all of those things that make the top 10 list. What else is God's favor poured out on you? One of the things I might tell you is that though driving back and forth to Memphis to see the declining health of one whom I love more than life, are the sweet moments we get to spend together when she is honest enough to be able to say, I love just to hear your voice. Whew. I don't enjoy the driving, but you know what I do enjoy is my prayer time while I'm driving. And if the sun is low enough, I even dance a little when I sing. That makes the drive such a blessing. Y'all, the blessing is not just the good stuff. How do you experience God's favor being poured out on you? even when tears still fall. That, my friends, is the enviable position that we find ourselves in as Jesus followers. We are blessed beyond measure. It has nothing to do with our bank account, how full our quiver is, how much food is in our fridge. It is because we are known and loved, and we are blessed in order for God to use us to bless others. May you understand today at a deeper level than ever before just how blessed you are. Thank you, God, for seeing us more rightly than we ever see ourselves, for loving us instead, loving us regardless, and loving us even though. And thank you, God, for every blessing that you have offered to us. Help us see clearly the richness of that grace. We thank you in the name of the one who is all grace, Jesus the Christ. Amen. My friends, make you a list of blessings today. How blessed are you? And let's celebrate God's grace together. I'll see you soon.